Childhood and Growing Up. This is for B.Ed first year, exclusively for Pondicherry University, explained by Dr. Shubha, Vasavi College of Education, Pondicherry. So now we are in Unit 7, representing the realities. Under this, you will be reading notion of stereotype, gender, class, poverty, childhood and adolescence in media and social media, realities of present age children, different socio-economic status of society, child labor in household, in unorganized factors, bondage labor in remote villages, that is bonded labor, child abuse and child trafficking, child law, imitation of significant events. So under Unit 7, we are talking about media. Communication channels through which news, entertainment, education, data or any promotional messages are disseminated. Media includes every broadcasting and narrowcasting medium such as newspapers, magazines, TV, radio, billboards, direct mail, telephone, fax and internet. Now this is a plural form of media. Medium is also plural, is also singular, depending where you are using. We have mass media and social media. Mass media is communication. Now this is television, radio, advertising, pamphlets, newspapers, magazines and all that. Social media. Now these days we have the means of interactions among people. Like they create, they share, they exchange informations and ideas. So this is a virtual communication. Means we don't see face to face, but we communicate. Many of us don't even see, but we develop a friendship. So this is virtual media. The Office of Digital Communications manages the main Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, YouTube and video accounts, and so many are there. Violence and interactive media forms, as opposed to passive media forms, may have even stronger effects on children and as a result has become a focus of new research. This we have already seen in the other unit. Children are theoretically more susceptible to behavioral influences when they are active participants than when they are observers. So if they are active participants means what? When they play video games, they actively participate. They don't passively observe. Whereas in TV, if at all they are watching a movie in which violence is there, then they are passive observers. They are just thinking and watching that. But in video games, they play. And in cell phones, there are so many games like Temple Run and so many. So these games, when they play, they become an active participants. Though they are not killing or doing whatever, virtually they are killing. So they are developing that, oh, you can do this, you can do that, likewise. To further legitimize these concerns, the element of child-initiated virtual violence, like video game playing, may result in even more significant effects than those of passive media like television. Despite the research reports, there was a debate between television broadcasters and scientists regarding the harmful effects of television violence on children. But broadcasters asserts that there is not enough evidence to link viewing television violence leads to children's aggressive behavior. That's what they say, because it is a business, no? Social media, when you look at this picture, you can understand. Connect. Now everyone is virtually connected through chat, share, WhatsApp, Facebook and all that. Now what is this negative impact of social media on youth and teenagers? Now, do you mean that only negative impact is there or positive impact is there? Just want you to probe into this. So the pros and cons. The pros, the positive thing, the positive aspect of social media can provide a platform for shy people to express themselves and boost their confidence. Can facilitate communication between those that are marginalized. Marginalized means what? Those children who are neglected, can strengthen and maintain relationships to friends close and far. You can be a good friend to somebody who is in US, and you can virtually meet them over Skype and Google Chat. And you have so many platforms where you can closely, and even in Messenger, WhatsApp. Classrooms can use social media to keep students engaged into study material and lessons. Even Zoom is a very good platform where a teacher can see virtually all the students and teach. That's a good online platform. A healthy social media presence can be beneficial in attracting employers. But what are the cons? Heavy social media use can possibly lead to depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. If you don't get more likes and shares, low self-esteem. And this phobia, this disease is also coming. Like every morning you just see your cell phone, and if you don't get any call or no new message, then you feel you are neglected. So you are into depression, and anxiety is there. It can prevent the development of some social and direct communication skills. Means instead of how are you, they just use emojis and all that, smileys. So the language skills will go off. Can embolden people to harass others online. So online, without disclosing your name and where you are living, you can harass the other people. Can be a major distraction for students and lead to poor academic performance. Even adults, they don't want to keep their cell phone down. So children and adolescents, they are 24/7, they want to be on the internet. And Hail Geo, they have given easy internet to everybody. Can be a major distraction. So some inappropriate posts may hurt job opportunities down the line. And Facebook, whatever you feel you are writing, you are posting. So if at all you are going for a very prestigious job, then your Facebook or your status or whatever you have written in your Insta or Twitter may be a hindrance and will hurt your job opportunities. But these days, all the schools, they are encouraging the children to go with the internet, because all the homework and all the assignments, everything, you have to search the net. So it's like our children are born with the sixth finger, that is the cell phone. We have to accept the fact. But how best we can keep them away from this gadget, we need to think. Social media can influence the child's self-image, both positively and also negatively. Internet provide benefits in the areas of cognitive, that is knowledge, and social development, and present risks as well as opportunities for adolescents' growth and development. Social media offers today's youth a portal for entertainment and communication. Means these days Smule is there. In Smule, if at all you can sing very well, then you can sing and post it in Smule. You will get a lot of friends and so many will see. So it's a portal for entertainment and communication also. As society becomes more reliant on the World Wide Web, WWW, the risk of internet addiction of children and teens is diagnosed with several emotional and social phobia. Pediatrician, psychologists, and child educators are in a unique position to help families understand these sites and to encourage healthy use, and urge parents to monitor for potential problems like cyberbullying. Means you don't see the person but you bully the person, like sending awful messages to them. So that's cyberbullying. And Facebook depression. If you post something in Insta and Facebook and if nobody likes it, nobody comments it, then you get depressed and anxiety is there. And exposure to inappropriate content, yes, this is a very great problem and grave problem also. We need to look into that. Now let's see about child rights. Despite India ratifying the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children in 1992 to work towards child rights, we still have a long way to go. That is, there is not much being done. India needs to use aggressive corrective measures to address malnutrition, infant mortality, that is children death, infant death, low school enrollment, and other issues. Identifying these issues with their complexities enables civil society, governments, and individuals to resolve them with socially conscious corporations and citizens who donate to charity. There are so many charitable institutions and philanthropists who work for children rights for children. Like we have Mukesh Ambani and Neeta Ambani, they are working. They have a charity for children. Child rights are today a concern for everyone. Under child rights, we have health issues, diarrhea and malnutrition. They are India's biggest killers of children. Along with poor access to nutritious foods, they are linked to poor hygiene. And infections trigger mineral depletion and loss of appetite. Means cleanliness is not there. Not proper sanitation we have in many of the areas. National Family Health Survey India 2006 estimates show that 53 million children are underweight. Another 25 million have a low weight to height ratio. So 1/3 of the world's wasted children live in India. That's what the United Nations, their work says. And they are rampant in rural areas. So when we come to survival issues, India leads the global tally of child, that is 0 to 5 years of children. The death rate is more in India, that's what they say. 1.2 million deaths reported in India, whereas worldwide only 5.9 million. Another finding reported that 1.83 million children die every year before their 5th birthday, out of 26 million children who are born. Children from India's poorest communities are at a higher risk of death. These are sharp inequalities in mortality rates. Mortality rate means death rate across India. 5 mortality rate in Kerala, much lower, 14 deaths per 1000. Then Madhya Pradesh, 92 per 1000. At 1.83 million, India has the highest child deaths in the world. This is a concern. Lack of education. A United Nations report recently revealed that India is home to the world's largest population of illiterate adults and contributes 37% of the global total. While the latest data shows the literacy rose from 48% to 63% in 2006, but population growth cancelled out these gains. So what's that? The population is more now, meaning no effective change in the number of illiterates. Primary education spending is a decider in literacy. That is, if the primary education is good in a state, then definitely the state will be a literate state, as seen in Kerala. But Kerala, they are doing wonderful. One of India's most literate states of the country. Educational disparities are noticed in richer and poorer states also. But the girl-child education requires not only investment, but social awareness. That we need to understand that educated girls are a valuable asset. When a girl is being educated, the whole family is educated. That's what we have to see. When a boy is educated, only he is educated. But when a girl is educated and given value-based moral education, then a family will be educated. Today, India ranks 123 among 135 countries in female literacy. Yes.